Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is? Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again. Expecting. God, I cannot make that impression. Guess who's had a massive resurgence in their Kirby hyperfixation? That's right, this guy. Yeah, forgive me for that. Pizza Tower has had a stranglehold on me for the longest time, and I mean, it still does, but considerably less so. So now that my biggest interest has come back into my headspace once again, how do you suppose we handle it? Well, during a tirade of mine where I draw two characters no one likes from the show no one likes, this is a joke, please don't murder me, I came across the usual gaggle of insane Minecraft hardcore YouTubers who not only have too much free time on their hands, but also have 10 million times more patience than me. But this isn't about them. This is about a completely different video, done in creative with mods, that these hours-long hardcore videos brought me to. I promise this is relevant to Kirby, just give me a second, we will get there. The video in question, which is this one, used a very specific mod that's pretty much just world edit on crack. And for the life of me, I could not figure out what mod this was. It wasn't mentioned anywhere in the description, no one asked about it in the comments section, even though I only looked through like 2 pages of them, and trying to find it just on the description alone yielded no results. And I wasn't about to ask the guy myself, so I ended up going with the only option left to me, taking a screenshot of the video to reverse image search. And lo and behold, the Antichrist Google blessed me with a post on a Minecraft forum of someone asking for the exact same mod using the exact same screenshot I took. So, I had my answer. It was called Axia. And after downloading it, going on a spree of downloading other mods for my version, booted up the game, played around for a bit using the program. I didn't really build anything substantial, but it wasn't about that. But while I was testing Axiom out, I remembered back to a Minecraft world that's freshman year of high school old, which makes it, graduated in 22, minus 4, carry the 1, that's 6 years old now. What? Okay, never mind that. The point is, that old map featured a recreation of Cappy Town from the Kirby anime, a location I am very fond of. But since that was done on Xbox 360 with no mods, it was extremely primitive. Despite the consoles online being dead and over here in the West, meaning no one has seen it in years, I was still attached enough to port it to Bedrock when that came out, and now that I have all these cool mod tools to streamline the process, remove the tedium, and make the impossible possible, this was my chance to bring the map back from the dead and make it 1000% better. Even if it meant being forced to use the keyboard controls. However, before any of that can begin, I wanted to actually map out Cappy Town and go in with a plan this time, instead of pulling everything from memory like I did last time. Thankfully, I have an ace up my sleeve. A user by the name of Nightmare Manlet provided free access to a Dropbox folder full of concept art for the show. And let me tell you, I was a kid in a candy store when I found that all those years ago. Little did I know the insanity that would soon follow, because the consistency of Cappy Town is best described as a dice roll in zero gravity. So, with the help of screenshots provided by the Kirby Wiki, the actual Kirby Wiki, not the shitty fandom one, I got to work. Enough with the YouTuber voice. I'm going to split this up the same way the images of the Dropbox folder are arranged, working from the first folder to the last, and we'll be using this translated map as a base for our own map, which I will be updating as we go along. Ready? Alright. Prepare to suffer. We begin where all good tales of suffering start, the bar. This first image gives us the 2 buildings on either side of the bar, that being some kind of meat or butcher shop, and what I can only assume is an aquarium. based on the image on the sign, but this next image shows us a better view of that other building, and one of the first signs of the many mistakes in my old world. You see that? Zoom in a bit. That's the roof slanting downward and an arrow following it. And next to that is a wall. Why is this a problem? That's because I thought the bar was just bound to the exterior we see here. You know, like every other building in town. But no, this one's okay because as far as I can remember, we've never seen anyone walking into the bar from the outside. We just see the bar and then it smash cuts to the interior. So I can see why I would make that mistake. So I just made a small note that the bar is not built in the building's interior and is instead underneath it. Let me tell you, this would not be the last time that something like this happened. After the bar is the bookstore, which I guess is also a library, probably. There's what looks like a tailor over here, I guess, but there's also something very crucial. This sign here belongs to the toy store. So we know the toy store is right next to the bookstore, and sure enough, that's confirmed in the concept sheets for the toy store. And while we're at it, this building over here appears to be a cafe, so put that on the map too. And we can also see that this is right next to the town square, with the big tree in the middle. So boom, we've already got several buildings close to the square accounted for. Surely, the rest will come just as smoothly, right? Oh, my friend, you have no idea. The next folder contains a bunch of miscellaneous homes for prominent Cappy Town residents. This includes Chief Bookham, the mayor, Professor Curio, and one of the 3 Cappy kids. I don't remember which one, because the images use a Japanese name for them, and there are 2 kids with basically the same name in the Japanese and English versions, but they're not the same character, and okay, this is confusing enough. Let me get back on track. Chief Bookham. All of the images here cover the Bookham family home, which is also the police station. It's the same building. I did not know that, and the show never made that clear enough. Or if it did, it was in a shot that I wasn't paying attention to. However, this means we don't have to add a different building somewhere else to be their house, which is good, and different from the way that I did it last time. But then, where is the police station? Because these are all interior shots. This tells me nothing. Well, to figure that out, let me show you a diagram of the town square. We'll talk about it more later, but for right now, it's clear that this building with the star on it, which is on the western side of town, is the police station, since the exterior has that massive star on it. Very impressive, Chief. Next in line is the home of Professor Curio, which also doubles as his antique shop. Man, what is it with people living in the same building they work in? I mean, I can't deny the practicality of it, but I know I could never live in the same place I work. That'd be terrible. These exterior shots don't tell us much, but this last image is just what we're looking for. Look at that. Curio's shop is located on a path branching somewhere off Main Street, close to another road or path that runs along the edge of a rock face. And we know this is on the western side of town because of the characters up here, which roughly translate to castle this way, or some other phrase that means the same. There are no other buildings around him either on the path. He's all by himself. But none of these other buildings on Main Street are labeled, so this could be anywhere. We don't know how far away this is from Square. We don't know what buildings are close by. All we know is that it's to the west off Main Street, and it has its own separate path with no path going to the east, which is very important. The last one that's important for our purposes is the mayor's home. And for him, we only have this. And this tells me nothing about where it is. I even tried translating the kanji here, and still nothing. Surely, there's got to be something that tells us where it is in relation to everything else. Well, I'm not quite ready to talk about that yet, so when we see it, I'll let you know. We're in new territory now, because next is the fortune teller's parlor, and these are all just interior shots, but fear not. There's a different image in the streets folder that has what we're looking for. There it is. Mabel's parlor has 2, maybe 3 buildings on the right side of it, which goes toward the square. And the very next image tells us that Kawasaki's restaurant is just to the left, or to the north, with 2 more houses further north. And even better, there's a mini-map diagram in the bottom left corner showing us what's on the other side of the street. This wall, 2 other generic buildings of what I would assume, and the really weird taper. Like, why does it get thinner here? I know there's not a lot of cars on the road, but still, wouldn't that be inconvenient? Since we're here in the streets folder, let's at least have a little look around. Maybe we can find something else. Okay, this building kind of looks like a flower shop. And that has a picture of ice cream on it, so we've got an ice cream parlor, and that's going towards Castle Dedede, so it's on the left side of Main Street, but none of these other buildings tell us anything. That's the stuff we already looked at. Oh, wait, we got something. There's this place, I guess it sells wool, but and we already have a tailor by the bookstore, so then what the hell would the... Oh, God, we're gonna get fixed. And the other buildings are too far away to make out details, so this is all we got. A bunch of random buildings on Main Street, and no clue where they go. After that detour, we come to the grocery store, and with our one wide shot, we can see that it's right up against the square, and directly across from the cafe and toy store. And that map down there certainly helps, so let's take that, but it's... I mean, you can see it for yourself. It's kind of crammed here, isn't it? Let me see if we can get a better angle. Okay, yeah, here we go. This is much better. Now that side path makes more sense. There's a small sheep pen here, and it leads right to the town well. Which, actually, I didn't even know that. But that's perfect. And we can see all the buildings crammed in this part of town. That's just what we need. What is that? My friend, do you want to know? That is the mayor's home. On the western side of town on a massive hill. I thought that house was on the eastern side this entire time. You know why? Because there is a river cutting through the western side. And that river only had one bridge according to the map we've been using as our starting point. How does this make sense? Any sense at all? If we line things up, there's no bridge. How the hell is the mayor supposed to get there? And even worse, he's supposed to drive into the middle of town. How is he supposed to get there? I mean, I could be misremembering things. It has been several years since I watched the show. Even if I did watch it 3 times in 1 year, so maybe the mayor does have a bridge on his path. I don't know. What I do know is that I have a different plan. I'll just move the river so that it flows behind the hill. Boom. Problem solved. At the cost of my forehead. You know what? While we're at it, let's talk more about that river. The map base tells us that it breaks from the sea and runs right through Main Street, as well as running parallel to Main Street. And then we have over by the square, according to this image, is a watchtower in between this fork in the river. Further still is the watermelon patch on the other side of the fork. Very large, has a farm building right next to it, and this cuts out a bunch of our empty space southbound, but we still have this. This, my friends, is the Booma Dooma volcano. And you know what all this is? Farmland. Lots of it. Why is this here? What excuse could possibly have been made to reserve this much farmland next to a volcano? One small bit of seismic instability and everything goes up in flames. I don't care if they say it hasn't gone off in years or if it's dormant. You people don't have a weatherman, so how can you even know for sure? Is the weatherman even the guy who does any of that? I don't even know. But still, why would you ever take that risk? Are you stupid? God, Okay. I'm calm. I'm okay. Everything is fine. Let me take a load off at the gas station, our next location. Well, guess what? We have one image to work with. And what does it tell us? It's at an intersection. What intersection? Great question. Hey, that kind of rhymed. Well, how about the clinic? That's the last location of note that isn't in town square. Does that have anything for us? Well, yes, actually. Yabui's clinic is set up under a rocky hill and is likely close to the same rock face that Curio's shop is, based on the diagram up in the top right. But there are these 3 buildings south of it, on the other side of the path, which means it's not on the other side of Curio's shop. It's not south of it, making it further north, likely. But even still, we run into the same problem here. With none of these buildings on Main Street being labeled, the only thing we know is that it's further west, and that's it. Okay, so let's cap this off with all the buildings in the town square. So pull up that big diagram again. According to this, there are 17 buildings surrounding the square. The ones of note are the police station, whatever this building is supposed to be. It's got the icon of like a, what is that? A piece of paper and a quill. What is this, a writing building? Why would you need a separate building for writing? That makes no sense. There's the post office, the playground, the big house, as I'll call it, and the cafe mentioned previously. This also accounts for a small pathway that goes into the mountains, which leads directly up to Castle Dedede, which is quite a ways south from Main Square. And that's everything I could glean from this concept art, with the help of some screenshots from Kirby to narrow down a few things and make them clear. So, how does it all fit together? It doesn't. After everything we gathered, there's just not enough information to make a clear, cut and dry statement on where everything in the town sits. The further towards the beach we go, the less information we have. So the rest of this will just have to be a series of educated guesses on my part. At this point, I've gone through everything. There is nothing left to know. I just have to guess. This is the final result of my efforts. After 4 days of pulling my goddamn hair out. You see, kids, this is what happens when you care more about world building than anyone who worked on your favorite piece of media. And you know what? I'm proud to say that this map makes some sense. Every building that never had a place before was crammed somewhere in here, and unless this town is bigger than the two of us ever imagined it could be from these references, it's the best the community has to offer. Yeah, I'm gonna take a bit of a back seat and allow my live commentary self to break it down. Oh my god, I'm done! I'm done! Finally, I fucking finished it! I'm fucking done! Okay. This took so fucking long, you guys have no idea. This took so incredibly long to finish. I've had the base of this map, like the street layout, done for like weeks. It took me days just to get the buildings right, because there are so many of them. And they're all in different places according to each of the different shots. You don't know how hard this has been. This has been very difficult, but I am remaining vigilant, I remain strong, and I have pushed through. And now I finally get to talk about everything that is here. Now, I know this looks a bit basic, but I mean, look, I already had to do so much work. You can't scrutinize me for making a very basic-ass map. This is the list of every single building in town, and that includes some of the stuff that's on the outskirts, including the Boomaduma, the Cat's Eye Lighthouse, both of the farms, Castle Dedede, and Kirby's house. Let's start from the square. I don't have all the buildings in the square here, and that's mostly because even the number of buildings that are in the square are inconsistent, but the other thing is just that they're all generic buildings anyways, and they're all relatively the same size except for the big house, so I can get away with not doing those right now, because they're all going to look the same anyways. Basically the same. They're just going to have different roofs. We have this little side plateau here, which is where the grocery store and a bunch of other buildings are surrounding the town well. And on the other side, there's the cafe, the toy store, the bookstore, the tailor, another generic house, and then we have this first break in the road. This first break leads off to a branching path where there's a couple of houses, but it's mostly just greenery and scenery. I don't think there's a house here. And some of the concept art makes me think that. And this leads up to the mayor's house, or the villa as it's called sometimes. But yeah, we have the fortune teller's parlor and Kawasaki's, which is right across from the wool station and the wall. And on the other side of those buildings, on a separate branching path, is where I've put Curio's house. And then there was genuinely no place that I could have put the bar and the aquarium and the butcher, because none of them are in concrete locations. There are no images in the entire show where there is like any sort of clear and concise evidence as to where these could be. These could literally be anywhere. So I'm basing it off of the old map, and because of the intersection that the gas station was on, I'm going to assume that it has to be on this latter intersection. I put it as a part of the 3 buildings underneath the clinic. I feel like that makes the most sense for where it could be. There was really no other place to put it, but we do know that these 3 buildings are on this side of Main Street. We know that they're on this side of Main Street. There's a bunch more up here where I put a couple of miscellaneous buildings, like the flower shop and the ice cream parlor, because we don't know where they go. How do you know that they're in different places? You don't. Oh yeah, and then there are 2 other more generic houses on the road that leads to the beach. We don't know what these are, and to be quite frank, we have like 2 images of these houses on the beach. So I'm just going to put them there, make them generic as shit, and move on with my life. Apart from the foliage and everything, which isn't really the focus of the map, so I didn't put too much effort into it, this is the concrete map of Cappy Town. This is where everything is supposed to be, and this is the most bare bones way that I could have done it. Everything is accounted for, everything has a place, even if some of them don't make the most sense. But then again, this whole town doesn't make sense. And I'm gonna give it back to my post-commentary self and have him say his final words to you all. You heard the man. Heard me. Do not try this at home. Good night. I love you. And be good people. I need a fucking nap. Hey, you made it to the end card. This took weeks, so I would really appreciate it if you gave the video, like, something. I don't even care what you give it. It can be a comment, it can be a sub to the channel, it can be a like, I don't care. I don't think this is going to do much, but I at least want some kind of validation for all of the effort that I have gone through with this, all of the madness that I've gone through to try and understand this bumfuck town, and I say that with my whole chest, with my whole heart, because even though I suffered to try and map this place out, I still love it. And I'm going to continue loving it until the day I die. Just like I love you for watching this video.